If you crack first, Dave, it won't make you any less of a man.
I'm nowhere near cracking.
Neither am I, my friend.
Dave. And Matthew, what is it now? For God's sake, no one's smoking, okay?
But nothing!
You know what we need around here is an anti-whining ordinance.
So just sip your sniveling little lip and haul your skinny ass out of here!
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and there are some images coming out of the upcoming Suicide Squad Get Joker comic from Brian Azzarello and Alex Believe that I wanted to talk about. And it kind of leads into a video or a conversation I have on a video that's going to come up first thing tomorrow morning with comic writer Mark Pellegrini about some of the pitfalls of including real-world headlines, real-world events as like the backbone of your comic book story. Now, in the past, certainly real-world events have impacted comic books. I know there were a lot of 9/11 issues. We can think back to, during Captain America, there was an entire arc that was basically dealing with Watergate. But when they did that arc, it was done very well, and they never really actually mentioned Watergate, but you can tell the subtext what it's talking about. And that way, if you go back 20 years later and you go read it, and if you aren't really all that familiar with Watergate, you don't even realize what that comic book in that moment was talking about. So it kind of makes it more timeless kind of thing. Or if you think about Alan Moore's Watchmen, certainly the backdrop of that comic book is the Cold War and tensions in the Cold War and things of that nature. But it doesn't dive so much into it to where I think it makes the comic book unenjoyable in the future and stuff like that. And that's what like tomorrow's video that I'm going to do with Mark Pellegrini kind of dives into. Today I want to take a little bit of different approach because these are some specific screenshots we're getting. These are pulled, I guess, from Rich Johnston from Bleeding Cool. I had some earlier spoilers where we talked about some John Kent Superman kind of changing his origin stuff. This stuff's a little bit more, serious. And here's my problem. You are shown no quarter nowadays. You can't escape all the upheaval, all the fighting, all the conflict within the culture, specifically in America. Like, if you were like, you know what? I see everything that's going on. I have an opinion. I think one side's kind of right. I think the other side's kind of right. But I don't think either side is completely right in all this. I'm going to take a more neutral stance. I like to stay out of it. I have an opinion, but it's not really my seat. I'm not really into politics. I certainly don't like all the controversy. I don't like the bickering, the fighting back and forth, and the escalation. The escalation that we're seeing is seemingly, every month. Things seem to get worse. Do things ever seem to get better? You're not allowed to escape that. You don't get to escape it. Certainly, you can't escape it when you go to your sports network. ESPN won't let you escape it. You can't escape it when you go to movies, TV, and you certainly can't escape it in comic books. And for me, when I do this video and when I talk about the stuff that's in Suicide Squad Get Joker, which admittedly I said was my most anticipated DC comic heading into the back half of 2021. This is the one that I was certain was going to be good. I thought Brian Azzarello, Alex Believe throwing Red Hood on a Suicide Squad book, trying to get Joker sounded great. And still in theory it does. But by me not taking a hardline stance one way or the other, I'll probably get it worse than any, just trying to be neutral or trying to have a central stance or not wading into it makes you an even worse person than the other side. And it's untenable. You can't keep putting people in these situations. Why are DC Comics doing this to their fans? When this issue comes out and people read this, and when this video comes out, I'm sure I'll see it in the comments section. People are going to be pissed. They're going to be pissed at each other. Someone's going to make a comment. Then someone's going to have to escalate. Then everyone's going to be fighting. There's nowhere that you can go anymore to escape all this. There's no escapism in the world. The media won't let you do it. The entertainment won't let you do it. Your hobbies won't let you do it. You can't even do Dungeons and Dragons without being waded into this crap. Dungeons and Dragons, the ultimate stay-at-home tabletop game where you get to enjoy it with your friends and you get to enjoy it on your terms, right? Sure, there's a rule book, but every game is unique. It's always yours. There's nobody's overseeing on how you get You enjoy your experience and how everyone interacts. You get to do it on your terms. You get to do house rules, stuff like that. They don't want you to have that anymore. You can't enjoy Lord of the Rings anymore. Somehow, Tolkien has been brought into all this crap, and let's get into the Suicide Squad, get Joker stuff. Am I still looking forward to the comic book? I don't know. It's certainly not my most anticipated DC Comics of 2021 now. Tell you that. Can't get away. You're not allowed. You're not allowed to disengage and have a moment to yourself and think, my goodness, the world feels like it's a hell in a handbasket. But let me go read about the Suicide Squad, trying to kill Joker. Maybe that would be a good escape from reality. No, you can't do that, because in this comic book, we got a new cast. As far as Suicide Squad, it's gonna be Red Hood, Harley Quinn, Firefly, Silver Banshee, some new characters, and then another returning character. It's more obscure. His name's Wild Dog, or Jack Wheeler. I believe he's a Marine Corps veteran. And while he's on a chopper, and apparently they're heading into a mission, they're talking about the events of January 6th at the Capitol building. People are still very upset about this on both sides. And I completely understand. It's a tragic day. People died. It's quite tragic indeed. It's something I wish never happened. But apparently, you got to have a Suicide Squad has to have an opinion on it. Got to thrust it into the story. And this is what the character Wild Dog is saying. Someone speaking to him. I believe they're asking him why he was arrested. I took a shit on the Speaker of the House desk. And the reply is, wait, you were part of the insurrection? Talking about the events of January 6th in the Capitol building. This is going to be fun, isn't it? Doesn't this sound like the most fun, engaging escapism that you ever had? Isn't this what you wanted to be part of your Suicide Squad, get Joker, like comic story? Isn't this where you wanted it to go? Doesn't it sound lovely? So you can go into your comic shop, maybe read it, have an opinion, and then get yelled at by somebody else for having your own opinion, or maybe not voicing your opinion, keeping your opinion to yourself. You can be called an ist and a that and a that and a that. And so we can cause some more dissension within the comic book readership. That's what we need right now. There's a time and place for everything. I don't think this is the time or place for this, but it continues. They are talking to Wild Dog. You asked me how I got arrested. Well, it was by leading the charge, buddy. So not only was Wild Dog a part of the events of January 6th at the Capitol building, Washington, D.C., he led the charge. He was the leader of the group. Garbage that's been happening in this country, it's fucking lawless. All the while we're being regulated how to think. Mimicking what I imagine is mockery of one side's opinions. A lot of people will read this and say, yeah, maybe that is how things are. Maybe that is how I think. Pretty on the nose stuff here. And then they continue on later. Oh, does that word belong to you too? Apparently this is further along in the conversation. I'll put it on the list. Can't say this, can't think that. What the fuck happened to freedom in this country, Kemosabe? And I'm led to believe from the article from Bleeding Cool that this character is mocked. And I will be shocked if the Suicide Squad themselves don't have a little fratricide and probably kill this character, as a means of getting across a political statement. I could be wrong. Maybe Brian Azzarello as the writer is doing something really interesting, trying to spark some honest debate, honest conversation about a tragic event that recently happened in this country as things become more and more divided. I have severe doubts just based on what we've seen coming out of the comic book industry, coming out of entertainment, coming out of media. Do you trust Brian Azzarello, who's done some pretty crazy stuff in the past? If you remember his Batman Damned, I had no problem with it. We got the introduction of the Batawang, Batman's dick, in a comic book. Apparently, the higher ups at Warner Brothers were none too pleased. You will never ever see that comic book reprinted, according to them. It's already been censored on in digital format. He also did the famous rooftop scene between Batgirl and Batman in the animated version of The Killing Joke. That one didn't go over so well with fans, but apparently that was okay with Warner Brothers. And apparently this was okay with DC leadership, Warner Brothers too. I don't know where this goes. Obviously, these are a few snippets from a comic book. But at this point, I have no faith in anyone on either side to put something out here that's thought-provoking, that presents an argument and lets the readers come up with their own opinion. I can only see this going one way, and that is to attack a group of people. Whether you are for the people that were a part of that January 6th event in Washington, D.C., or you were against it. I imagine there's going to be one side of this story, one part of the narrative that's pushed very heavily as the correct part of the narrative. Is that what comics are for? I have no idea. I thought comics were for entertainment. Is this going to be entertaining? Perhaps. We've seen people pull things like this off in the past. But it has been quite a while in comic books when they've done something like this and actually gotten it right. It feels like they continuously get it more and more wrong. And we have, maybe the 30% on this side, the 30% on this side that are completely devoted to the cause and will never let you, get a break. And you got, your 40% in the middle, maybe it's a little bit bigger than that. They just want to be left out of it. I have opinions on politics. I have opinions on world events. You know what's more important to me than this event here? My kids, my wife, taking care of my family. I don't I don't need to be drug into this. I'm not a true believer on either side. Let's put it that way. I'm exceptionally skeptical in almost every part of my life. And there's a lot of people who will be like, Wes thinks exactly like I do. Trust me, I don't. I've never met anyone in this world, including my wife, my brothers, people I grew up with, close friends I've had, that I've ever agreed with on anything, on everything, I mean. And certainly not on like the really hot topics. Normally there's a lot of disagreement. Is that where we want to live our lives the rest of our lives, where we're just in constant disagreement and just concentrating on all the things that divide us and make us unhappy to be around each other? You see people with death threats over points of view nowadays. It's crazy. In the media, entertainment, they exacerbate the problem because they want you to be like that. They want people to see these images, and the first thing in August when Suicide Squad Get Joker #1 comes out, half the audience go in so they can see it and have their point validated and know that they were right, and the other half to go in and spend their money even faster so they can read it and get outraged and be pissed off that once again, people have denigrated their point of view or mocked their worldviews. Hey, there's a time and place for satirical entertainment. There's a time and place for parody and stuff like this. I imagine, and I'm almost certain that when we read this comic book, it won't be all that satirical. It won't really be a parody. It'll be taken very seriously. I don't know. Is this what you want for your comic books? Do you want escapism in your life anymore? I do. That's what I want. I want to be able to go into these stories, interact with these characters, and have a good time. I don't have to agree with every single story. But I don't want to have to deal with all this crap that I'm already arguing with on Facebook. Well, I'm not arguing, I'm abstaining, but I'm seeing people arguing about every day on Facebook, Twitter, on the news, everywhere. You can't escape all this stuff. It's driven down your throat, all you can eat, whether you want it or not. And I hate it. I guarantee you, if you and I disagree on this, and I'm not going to get into the details of how I feel about it, if we sat down with the beer, we would agree on a lot more than you could imagine. But people don't ever want to concentrate on that anymore. It's no longer about what binds us together and the things that we've been through and the things that we've witnessed and the things that we have in common and our mutual aspirations and goals and wanting to see our families do well and provide for them. It's not about that anymore. It's about everything that divides us. How can we get people to yell at each other some more? How can we cause further division? Because we're in a clickbait economy. Without the clicks, there's no money coming in. The best way to get people to click is to get them pissed off, get them outraged, get them yelling at each other, and throwing these stupid articles or pictures in comic books in each other's faces. And it's just gross. I hate it. It's something I don't really. Let's put it this way: I don't exactly regret moving to the Philippines. Philippines is different. There's certainly a lot of things I've had to get used to, but I don't mind not having to be in the streets of America today when things are like this. I just wish we don't all need to get along, but we do need to respect each other as people and understand that just because we have different points of view or different opinions doesn't make anyone evil on either side. And the one side of it, it's all the lefties. They're the ones that are doing this all. And then everybody on the left side, it's all the righties. They're the ones that doing it all. Trust me. If you're on those like 30%, 25% margins, for the most part, you're doing it to each other. Equally for the most part, from what I've observed. And that's too bad. So, hey, I imagine DC Comics will make a lot of money. This will generate some outrage. People will want to put their money down so they can either be their opinions can be confirmed that they were correct all along, or they can be outraged and be mad at DC Comics once again for doing something that they definitely didn't need to do. Do I think this is going to add anything to the key overarching story of this comic book or to the story threads or no? No, it's going to lead to a very memorable death that I think will be played for laughs potentially, and will upset some people. Congratulations, DC Comics. Continue fucking up once again. It's Tuesday. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat po, and I'm out.